So this is the sample testing report that I use in my work. Before I begin to explain the content of this report, I wanted to mention a point. Many of you send me a request to access my documents, for example, the test case template document, the defect report template, or templates like this one. So I will share the link of this document with you. You are not able to edit it, but you can make a copy of it without my permission. When you open this document or the test case document or any document that is written using Google Sheets or Google Docs like this one, you can click on File, Make a Copy. And when you do this, you can create a copy that is your own copy. I don't have access to it. So you don't have to ask me for permission to edit this document. No, you just click on File, Make a Copy, and in this case you have your own copy of the testing report which you can edit and use in your projects. So like we see here, this is a test summary report or a test progress report for mobile app. You can change the name of the mobile app. Here it is an Android version. You can make it iOS, or if this is a website, you can change this and write here the version of the application. Here you can add the logo of your application. I do this all the time. It makes the report look better. Then we have the version, the date of this report, and the person who created this report. My sample testing report consists of three main sections: the test case execution status, the bug report status, and testing suggestions for next period. So I am telling my audience what we have done in the previous period by giving them information about test case execution status and bug report status. If we are using, for example, exploratory testing, we will not write test cases. In this case, we will only give them the bug report status. Then I need to give them feedback on what we are planning to do in the next period, or if I have a suggestion as a tester to the development team or the management. So in this case, I give them this feedback in the testing suggestions for next period section. If we scroll down, here we have an introduction. This report is used to clarify the testing activities that happened in the previous Android or iOS build of our application in the period from this date to this date. Of course, this date you should change it. The goal of this report is to show the status of the test cases, the defects found and their status, and the suggestions for the next period of testing. The next section talks about test execution status. So here, this is not the first report in my project. This is the second or the third report. This is why you see here current build results and previous build results. Here I am comparing between what is happening in this build, the quality of it, and what happened in the previous build. Of course, if this is build number 1 for you, so you will not have a previous build results column. But if this is not the first build, it is a good way to show the test case status and defect report status using this way. So here the total number of test cases is 70. In the previous build, it was 63. Those numbers are real. I just removed the name of the project, but those numbers happened really in this project. So here we had 63 test cases, and in the new build, we added more test cases to have more coverage of the requirements. So there is an increase in the number of test cases. The passed test cases increased from 31 to 40. This is a good thing. The failed test cases also increased from 16 to 18, and the blocked or skipped test cases decreased from 16 to 12. So here we had in the previous build a lot of blocked or skipped test cases, which now in the new build we are able to test. But we have an increase in passed and failed test cases. Here's the iOS version. There is no iOS build. This is why not available is written here. So here also I gave him some test case execution notes. Why? Because here I'm talking to the client or the manager. He doesn't understand well what is a test case or what does this increase mean. So here I'm explaining to him what does this mean. Does it mean an increase in quality or a decrease in quality? So here I told him, for example, the number of passed test cases increased from 31 to 40, which indicates an increase in the quality of the application. Here also I told him the number of failed and blocked or skipped test cases decreased from 32 to 20, which also indicates an increase in the quality of the application. So here I added both the failed and blocked test cases. Together, I found a decrease in the total number. They were 32 and now they are 30, which is a good thing. But here also I told him, note that all test cases that included integrations between two users were executed on two Android devices, because there is no iOS build now. Testing integrations using iOS might cause more test cases to fail. What does this mean? This application was like a social network, and we had an Android build and an iOS build. One feature in this application, for example, was sending a message. There was a section that is similar to Facebook Messenger. So inside our application, I tested the integration between two Android users. For example, I sent a photo from user 1 and user 2 received this photo. And then I sent a photo from user 2 and user 1 received this photo. Then, for example, I sent a voice message from user 1 and played it from user 2 and vice versa. Then I deleted this message, is it deleted on the other side, and so on. So all those integrations, I did them between two Android devices. I didn't test them between two iOS devices or one Android and one iOS device. So this is why I am telling him that when we execute those test cases using two iOS devices or one Android and one iOS device, we might see an increase in the number of defects. Why am I telling him this information? So that we plan some time that will be consumed in testing activities and integrations between iOS and Android, and also in solving the defects that will be produced based on this testing. Then we have the defect status for Android. So like we see also, we have current build and previous build. We had 33 defects in previous build, now we have 47. We had 12 defects with high priority, now we have 23. We had 10 medium priority defects, now we have 13. We had 11 low priority defects, now we have 8. So like we see, there is an increase in high and medium priority defects, which is a bad thing. And also I told him information about the same defects, but based on their type. Are they functional defects or UI or UX defects or performance defects? So like we see, we had 3 performance defects in previous build, but now we don't have any performance issues. This is a good thing. But on the other hand, we have a huge increase in the UI, UX defects and in the functional defects. So here I'm telling him, in the new build, we have more defects than the previous build, but although we consider that the quality has increased. Why? Because the cause of the high number of defects might be that new functionalities are added to this new build. So the old build did not include all functionalities. This is why we didn't have a high number of defects in it. But the new build included more functionalities. So if we think in a logical way, this will produce more defects. So the quality of the whole application increased, but the total number of defects also increased because we have more functionalities in the application. This doesn't happen in all applications. It depends on the situation and your vision as a tester. Do you think in an overall way, did the quality increase or not? Then we have testing suggestions for next period. So in this application, we used Trello to track our defects. We talked about Trello earlier, but Trello is not the best tool to track defects. So this is why I advised them to use a defect tracking tool like Jira, because this will reduce the time required to write new defect reports for each build. So in this project, we used Trello, and in each new build, we created a new board with new defect reports. But in Jira, we will talk about Jira later, in the Agile section, we don't have to do this. We have iterations or sprints, and if we find a defect that is reproduced in the next build, we just move it to the new iteration without writing a new defect report. So this is the content of the testing report. Of course, you might need to add more information based on the points of interest of your stakeholders, and don't forget to click on File, make a copy, and begin to edit this copy based on the project that you are working on. Thank you and see you in the next video.